and welcome to our last session of our first round together. It has been such an honor so far to guide and lead you through the last 10 sessions between our yoga classes together, as well as our workshops, learning more about mental health, self-care, coping with anxiety, stress, anger, to name a few. This has been truly an honor, and I'm so excited to continue going forward with our next round of sessions, which will begin at the end of March. Anyway, today we are talking about somatic healing and intuitive movement. So this will be a little bit different from our other workshops. We're going to go through some education together. I'm going to talk, what is somatics? What is somatic psychology? Why is it important? Why does it work really beyond the cognitive or even cognitive behavioral therapy, which is when we're working with more of the mental and reframing the mind as opposed to working with our body. And so being a yoga teacher and being a trauma-informed life coach, I'm very much someone who works with somatics, somatic healing, somatic psychology, and the body. And I really wanted to include a short intuitive movement practice together as well, because I believe that intuitive movement is such a powerful form of healing, as well as moving stuck and stored energy from the body. We will also be doing a meditation together on grounding to help you feel even more connected to yourself and the earth. So let's get started. So somatic healing. Somatic healing comes from somatic psychotherapy or psychology, and has really been developed over the last about 30 years or so. Dr. Peter Levine is a wonderful example of a pioneer in this field, as well as Carolyn Myss, and many, many others who have now adopted this type of healing. Dr. Gabor Mate speaks about this in his books. One of his books is When the Body Says No, and I highly recommend that everybody who's watching this read that book because it is so powerful. It truly did change my life and really opened up my perspective to this type of healing. So when we think of somatic healing, we are working with not just how we think, but how we feel, really allowing ourselves to be within our full being, to be within our body. It has an emphasis on effect of the body and the sensations that live in our body that guides us towards a deeper knowing of ourselves and a deeper knowing of how we can support ourselves on our healing journeys. If we think of it as sort of a somatic intervention, this is when we are working to understand what our bodies are trying to communicate with us. And in our day and age, it is so common for people to be extremely disconnected from their body. We go through the days distracting and numbing, and this has just become our societal conditioning. And this is why so many people have a hard time with meditation or sitting still or even practicing yoga because of the need to slow down and be present with what is going on in our bodies. So I really wanted to give an example so you have a better idea of what I mean by this. So when we are in traditional therapy sessions or a coaching session, whatever it may be, a lot of times we're asked to talk about what's going on in our head, what's going on in our mind, our conscious and subconscious. We don't really get cued very often to go deeper into what's happening in our body. And so this is something that I really learned when I was working as an addictions counselor before I started my business and started doing these types of healing sessions, was that so many of my residents that would come to me as their case manager wouldn't know how to explain what that felt like in their body. If they were feeling, I'm sad. If I think about this, it makes me sad. I'm stressed. If I think about this, it makes me stressed. And when I ask them, okay, well, how does that feel in your body? Where do you feel that in your body? It wasn't something that was easy to understand, wasn't something that came naturally. And so this really gave me a burning desire and passion to get trained in the certifications that I have so I can bring this type of healing back to the forefront and I can help share with others and really with all of you. So let's say, for example, you're feeling sad. And if I asked you, where are you feeling this in your body? Maybe you say your heart feels heavy. Okay. So we would tune in to that energy. I would ask you to bring your hands over your heart and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths into this area of your body. Tune in, check in what's going on, and ask, what is this heaviness? What's coming up behind the feeling of your heart seeming heavy? And usually what comes up is that, when we're tuning into the heart especially, is that this area of your body wants to feel held, loved, seen, heard, considered, okay? And so we really allow ourselves to tune into that, what's underneath that heaviness, by placing our hands on our body and connecting deep within. This is the essence, so to speak, of somatic intervention, of somatic healing. It really is allowing ourselves to be aware of our body and what it wants to communicate with us. The body leads us, it guides us, and not just try to, think our way out of our issues, but create a somatic experiential solution. And so when I say think our way out of our issues, I'm referring to when we maybe are, thinking we're just sad. And then we're going through all the things in our day that could have contributed to our sadness. And yes, that is totally acceptable. That is something that makes a lot of sense, but it does go deeper than just thinking what makes us sad, because often there's that feeling of wanting to be nurtured underneath. We want to not just identify the quote unquote problem, we want to identify a solution. And this helps us create that somatic experiential solution. So this is why somatic resourcing is so imperative for our healing, and is why I wanted to have a session on it. So a somatic resource, you may have heard of a creative resource like art or dance, writing, singing, playing a musical instrument. Maybe you've heard of, like grounding resources, which can be like practicing earthing, walking with your feet on the grass, on the ground, connecting with Mother Nature, and so forth. So if you're unfamiliar with somatic resourcing, this is something you can do to help you feel safe. That is the core purpose of somatic resourcing. And if you ask me, we could all use a little bit more somatic resourcing in our life, because we all deserve to feel safe. And especially with what you're going through with your cancer treatments, with maybe a new diagnosis, maybe surgeries coming up, or you're post-op, or even you're in remission. Often these experiences can make us feel very unsafe. And that is definitely an external circumstance that's contributing to you not feeling safe. And so we want to create internal safety, and somatic resourcing allows you to create internal safety. So the purpose of becoming aware of the internal somatic resource is that we can use this to help ourselves enjoy life, to regulate those arousals, whether that's anger or sadness, stress, overwhelm, anxiety, and really just overall help us feel good and better within our bodies, which in turn helps our mind calm down, and overall is great for our soul. So there's many different types of somatic resources, and I'm just going to give you a few examples. As I'm talking about these examples, as I'm sharing, If any of this resonates, if you're like, oh, wow, yes, I do that when I'm in a straight state of stress, whatever the case may be, I want you to write it down. I want you to get your journal and I want you to just write it down so you have this list readily available to you at any time. Better yet, maybe you create it as a note in your phone, or you write it down on a piece of paper or in your notebook and you take a picture. So that way you always have it to go back to. And I do say having it on your phone is as a suggestion, because that's something that usually you would have with you at all times. So if you're at a doctor's appointment or you're getting chemo or whatever the case may be, you're going to have this with you in case you start to get overwhelmed with the experience. And that is totally normal to feel overwhelmed with what you're going through. I will never invalidate that. Always, always know what you're going through. It is totally normal to feel stressed, upset, overwhelmed, angry, sad, whatever those lower vibrational emotions are that are coming up for you. But the point here is we have a lot more control than we give ourselves credit for. And so this is an opportunity for you to recognize that and own in on it so you can really have a better sense of understanding of your body and how powerful you are, but also that you are in more control than you might be giving yourself credit for. So a very easy and doable somatic resource would be hugging yourself, giving yourself a big hug. Maybe you're swaying side to side as you give yourself that hug. This is a really good one to do. You don't worry about looking weird in public or anything. There's many times I've given myself a hug during, my own experiences living with chronic illness, whether that's at my many doctor's appointments, in the hospital, whatever it is, give myself a good big hug. Another one would be curling up in a little ball. So maybe you shrink into a little ball, and that does also mimic the fetal position, which is something obviously we recognize that we were in when we were in the womb, and in the womb we felt very safe. So you're recreating that experience and that feeling of safety. Another one would be being still. And of course, this isn't always easy for everybody, especially if you are feeling in a state of overwhelm. Being still sometimes can be a little bit daunting. So practicing stillness is, like I just said, a practice. So we got to give ourselves time and patience. Another one is something I already did as that example, placing your hands over your heart. Simple as that, and taking some deep breaths into your heart space. It's calming your central nervous system, okay? The best way and the most accessible way to calm our central nervous systems is placing the hands on the body and taking deep breaths. And I always just like to say the heart, because our heart has so much loving energy there. Another one could be rocking back and forth in your chair, rocking side to side. And you might recognize that maybe that's something that you intuitively or instinctively do in moments of feeling stressed or overwhelmed, whatever the case may be. That's your body's natural way of calming you down. You think about little kids, sometimes when they're upset, or they're, when after they've thrown a temper tantrum, they often will rock. And that is that their central nervous system taking over, so to speak, or at least trying to get them back into a state of ventral. And ventral is where we experience joy, pleasure, love, happiness. But so often we're living in sympathetic or dorsal, and sympathetic is our fight or flight response. Maybe you recognize this from when we had our coping with stress, coping with anger, coping with anxiety workshops, and I talked about that, as well as dorsal is our shutdown. Okay. And often when we're going through such big life changes and challenges, we're living in sympathetic and dorsal because that's just all we know. Our body has just become conditioned to that. So the purpose here is to get us back to that state of ventral and allow our central nervous system to feel good and safe. One that we've been doing a lot of together is practicing yoga. Yoga is a wonderful, wonderful way to calm our central nervous system and is a wonderful somatic resource. Stretching, that could just be stretching your neck, rolling your neck from side to side, stretching your arms overhead, right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Maybe it's massaging your neck or massaging your arms, your legs, rubbing your temples, or just giving yourself a head massage is also a really good one. Wrapping yourself up in a warm, cozy blanket. Maybe you have one of those blankets that are like really soft and fuzzy almost. That's the one that often we do, right? Maybe you're curled up on the couch. That's a form of somatic resourcing, right? Moving. So if stillness isn't your thing, if you're still really struggling to get still, again, no, that's totally normal. You're not alone. And when I mean get still, I mean no distractions. You're not sitting still watching a TV show. You're not sitting still and scrolling on your phone. You're not sitting still and answering emails. No, I mean truly just being still and present with your body. So moving would be like jiggling your feet, walking around, running, dancing, swimming, skating, bike riding, just to name a few. There's obviously many ways we can move our body, but if we do it in a way that's intentional, and the intention is to connect with our body's messages, that is what takes it to that next level of being a somatic resource. Another one might be squeezing or rubbing your hands together, right? This one's really nice. We can create a lot of friction in between our hands, create some heat, then bring it over our heart, okay? Taking a shower or bath is a really beautiful one. I'm a big fan of bubble baths, and that is a wonderful somatic resource if that is something that you enjoy. Petting or playing with a pet. I know for anyone here who has pets, you know how soothing it is to be with that animal, cuddle that animal, whatever, you know, whether it's a cat or a dog or a guinea pig, whatever, maybe not a fish because you can't necessarily hold that fish, but even just being in that energy with the fish, watching it swim around the tank can be very soothing and a great somatic resource. Another one might be holding hands with your loved one, holding hands with a family member, holding hands with a parent or a child, just like having that co-regulation through holding hands. Another great one is using sensory stimuli. And what I mean by that is similar to what I already said, a soft blanket, maybe the smell of your favorite essential oil, maybe a yummy home-cooked meal, really anything that's going to be engaging the senses, right? So sound, sight, touch, taste, or feel. And some other really great ones that I thought of as I was preparing this was that, you know, when you're out for a walk and you just feel the warmth of the sun on your face, that is a somatic resource. Maybe relaxing in a hammock, you feel the sway of your body in the hammock and you're lying outside, so you hear the breeze going through the trees. Also a really beautiful one. Maybe it's playing with your children and allowing them to lead and guide you through whatever it is you're playing, whether it's a board game or it's a game of tag, playing outside on the swings at the park. Children are really wonderful at helping us get into a state of ventral and calming our central nervous system. Of course, as long as they are also feeling calm. And then another great one would be enjoying a manicure or pedicure. And you don't necessarily have to go to, you know, a nail salon to get a manicure or pedicure. You can do your nails yourself, or maybe you have a foot bath, or you just want to give yourself a foot bath. So you just, you know, fill up your bathtub just enough to let your feet soak in there. And every time we're engaging in any of these activities, it is with the intention, again, like I mentioned earlier, that we are connecting with our body. And we're not doing this while also doing something else, right? So we're not relaxing on a hammock while also reading a book. We're not relaxing on a hammock while also scrolling on our phone, because that is going to get you into your mind a little bit more and take away from what's happening in your body. So those are just a few examples. There are so many when it comes to somatic resourcing, and I wanted to share those because those are all ones that I work with. But I want you to reflect on what works for you. Okay, so after our time together today, maybe before bed tonight, give yourself some time and space to reflect on your own somatic resources and then maybe practice them before bed. Our central nervous systems really need consistency. So the more that we can recognize the practices that feel good and work for us, and we bring them into our daily routines, the more we're going to create that internal safety. So that's just a little bit on somatic resourcing. Of course, I'm not going to give a whole TED talk today, but I really just wanted to touch on all of that because it's really the basis to understanding how we can use somatics as a way to heal ourselves and create safety within our bodies and our central nervous systems, which is so imperative for our healing. We're going to take some time now and I'm going to guide you through a grounding meditation. And meditation is also a wonderful way to connect with your body. Sometimes it can be seen more as a cognitive behavioral therapy technique because we often our minds go and go and go during a meditation. If you have ever experienced that, you're trying to meditate and your thought just bouncing from one to the other, we like to call that monkey mind. And that is totally normal. It takes a very long time of consistent dedication to your meditation practice before you don't really have any thoughts when you meditate. And meditation is different for all of us. So, I've been practicing meditation for 7+ years, and I still choose to engage in more guided meditations, moving meditations. That's just what feels best for me. So know that if you don't like just sitting there and tuning deep within, whether you're putting your hands on your heart or you're, doing a different mudra, a hand gesture, that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. This meditation that I'm going to lead us through, this grounding meditation, is really a chance to drop into your body and also connect with the grounding energy of Mother Earth. And of course, grounding leads us to somatic resourcing. So if you are taking notes, you can just put your notebook aside. And I invite you to just get comfortable in your seat. You can do this meditation seated or lying down, whatever feels best for you. And I want you to start by gently closing your eyes. If closing your eyes doesn't feel safe today, you can bring them to a soft gaze in front of your nose. And just begin to focus on your breath. Maybe take an inhale through the nose and sigh out the mouth. A few more, just like that, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just begin to notice where you feel your breath in your body. Do you feel your breath resting heavy in your chest? Or do you feel it laying lightly in your stomach? I invite you to do your best to send your breath to your belly. So taking a few deep belly breaths. Again, maybe it feels good. You can place your hands on your body, bringing your hands over your belly so you can really feel your breath moving. Focusing on your inhales and exhales and how they ripple like waves through your body. When you inhale, you'll feel your belly rise to the sky. And as you exhale, you'll feel your belly contract towards the earth or towards your spine, depending if you're seated or lying down. When we focus on our deep belly breaths, as we are doing now, we are biohacking our nervous systems to a state of peace and calm. And I like to use the term biohacking as this is a great way to describe taking control of the state of our minds through our breath. As we go through this grounding meditation, I invite you to continuously focus on your breath. Continue to notice how your inhales and exhales travel through your body, allowing them to find their own natural rhythm, not forcing, not controlling. Just let your breath be your guide and your anchor. As we begin to tune inward, try and let go of any noises or distractions around you. If your mind begins to wander throughout our meditation, simply bring your awareness back to your inhales and your exhales. Noticing whatever comes up, thoughts, feelings, emotions, as clouds floating in the sky. There is no need to hold on to any of these thoughts or feelings or emotions. Simply notice their presence and do your best to let them move along, just as you would with clouds. Sometimes it's nice to place what you're feeling or thinking or that emotion onto the cloud and watch it float away. Continuing to focus on your breath. Your breath is your anchor. You have it with you at all times and can return to it whenever you need. On your next inhale, imagine a beam of light starting in your root chakra at the base of your spine and growing all the way up your spine, shooting out of the top of your head, your crown chakra. This effervescent beam of light is your incredible energy shining, spilling out onto those in your life who you love. Take a deep inhale and breathe in your love for them. And as you exhale, their love comes back through the beam of light and into you. Breathing into this love that feels like sunshine radiating through your entire body. Now I invite you to imagine yourself sitting on a tree trunk. And as you imagine yourself sitting tall, grounded into the tree, your roots start to grow down towards the center of the earth, so that you, the tree trunk, and the center of the earth are all connected. As you inhale, you begin to absorb all of the grounding energy from the earth, allowing the steady pulse of the Divine Mother to fill you with her nurturing support. And as you exhale, you let go of anything that does not serve you anymore, allowing the roots of your tree trunk to take all of this into the center of the earth. Your pains, sorrows, doubts, uncertainties are no longer yours to carry, at least in this moment. They are the earth's. You can let them go. Breathe and let them go. Continuing to breathe deeply and begin to imagine yourself inside of a mountain. Mountains experience extremes due to their environments, yet still they stand tall, staying calm amongst the ever-changing seasons around them. As you breathe in, begin to channel the calm and centeredness of the mountain. Focusing on balancing your internal world, even when your external world may seem out of control. As you breathe out, do your best to let go of anything you cannot control. Continuing to breathe deeply, absorbing all of the grounding energy that you have channeled through this meditation. Remembering that you can access this at any time. You just need to bring your attention to your breath and channel deep belly breathing. We are going to close with 3 cleansing breaths together. Inhaling for a count of 5, holding for a count of 2, and exhaling for a count of 5. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Allow your breath to come back to its natural rhythm. Bringing both your hands over your heart space, breathing deep into your heart and just tuning in to anything that is coming up, any feelings. You know that you are safe to explore the energy behind your heart. And then bringing your hands to prayer in front of your heart center. Bowing your head if that feels safe. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste. Slowly bring yourself back to the present moment. Maybe wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, take a stretch, roll out your wrists. Hope you're feeling a little bit more grounded and connected with your body. Now we're going to go over a little bit of intuitive movement and what that means before we get into our own intuitive movement. So intuitive movement is the practice of connecting with your body and its internal cues. Using that to determine what type of movement, for how long, and the intensity that you choose to engage. It also incorporates a bit of mindfulness by being present in whatever movement you choose to do, whether that's dancing, yoga, walking, bouncing, shaking, whatever it is. This is all intuitive. So there's a few tips that I wanted to share for practicing intuitive movement. The first would be to do a quick body scan. Just check in with your body, see if any parts are feeling a little bit more tight, a little more stuck, maybe fluid, maybe open. Just showing up with curiosity and compassion, no judgment ever. We do not judge our bodies for their magic. And the next tip I wanted to share is try to avoid any rational, rigid, all or nothing thinking. So if we are, doing some dance as intuitive movement, we're not here to learn choreography. We're not here to look amazing or be the best. We're just here to let our body move to the music, however it wants to move. Another good tip is choosing something that you enjoy, a form of movement or exercise that you enjoy. So that could be dance, that could be yoga, that could be running, that could be walking. You want to choose something that you are going to feel comfortable with, okay? And again, we're going to get into this a little bit today, but you can just do whatever is feeling best within your body. And then while you move, pay attention to how it makes you feel. Sometimes when we do intuitive movement, we can get very emotional. We might feel like we want to cry. That is a good thing. If you feel like you need to cry, cry. It means you're moving stuck and stagnant energy out of your body. Crying is also a great stress reliever. When we cry, we release cortisol from our body. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So you're literally calming yourself down, right? Sometimes why we feel so good after a good cry, even though that can make us sometimes feel a little bit drained. That's normal. While you're moving, think about an intention of why you want to move intuitively. Is it to release stuck and stored energy from the body? Is it to learn to be present with your body? Is it to understand what your body's trying to tell you? Having that intention is going to help guide you a little bit because, again, often we're so used to needing prompts or guidance or just, more of a linear way of doing things. And of course, when we're moving intuitively, it can feel a little bit outside of our comfort zones. So having an intention is going to help with that. Another would be making sure you're wearing comfortable clothing. The clothes you're wearing are safe to move in. They feel good to move in. You might not want to wear jeans when you're practicing intuitive movement, unless you feel really good moving in jeans and they're very stretchy. I don't know. But for me today, I am wearing yoga clothes, workout clothes, whatever you want to call them. And I find it really helps. And then another great one is to prioritize rest after you intuitively move, because often, like I said, we're going to move through some emotions and you might just feel like you need to lie down or chill, rest, whether you read a book, maybe you curl up with a blanket and do some other forms of somatic resourcing, but that's always one that I like to suggest. So for our intuitive movement practice today, we're going to be doing a combination of yoga and dance. And of course, there's no choreography, there's no form, there's no movement that needs to be fulfilled. The only task is that you connect with your body on a deeper level, allowing your intuition to guide you. You can think of this intuitive movement practice as kind of a moving meditation, so to speak. So we're going to be moving through 3 songs together. You'll notice that the first song is a little bit slower, kind of picks up to a medium pace. The second song is a little more fast paced, and then we end with a slower song again. And as you're doing this, if you feel like, you want to kind of see what I'm doing and follow along, that's totally okay. But the point is to really let your own body guide you. And while I intuitively move, I sometimes will close my eyes. Of course, you want to make sure you have enough space to close your eyes. You don't want to hurt yourself while doing this type of practice. So if you see me with my eyes closed, that's why. So I'm going to put our first song on. I just want you to, if you have a yoga mat, maybe you get your yoga mat out, or, you can start on your yoga mat and then move around your space. Maybe you're in your bedroom or in a room that doesn't have as much space. That's okay. You really don't need a lot. You might find throughout this, you just sway. You might not be doing a lot of moving around or moving your arms or whatever. This is your practice. Just let your body guide you. So I'm going to put on our first song and we will just move intuitively until the songs are done. And this will take us to about, it will take us about 12 to 15 minutes. So putting on the first song and I will just see you when we're done. Okay, moving to our next song. It's a little fast-paced. Second song and our final song together. Slowing it down. We are love. You are love. We are love. I am love. You are love. We are love. It feels good to stretch as you move, as you sway. We are love. Remember, we're just letting our body do the talking. I am love. You are love. We are love. We are love. I am love. You are love. The movements don't have to make sense. They just have to feel good. We are love. I am love. We are hands over your heart. Slow down your movement if you haven't already stopped. And if it feels okay, close your eyes. And just tune into your body's wisdom. How does it feel after moving for 15 minutes with no purpose? Really, the only purpose was to let yourself move intuitively. And if there were points where you felt you were judging yourself, criticizing, comparing, whatever it is, recognize that and then let it go. The more you practice intuitive movement, the more intuitive, it will get. Your eyes are closed, you can slowly blink them open. Thank you so much for being here today and learning more about somatic healing, somatic resources, connecting with the energy of the earth to ground yourself, and connecting deep with your body's wisdom through the intuitive movement practice. I love you all so much, and I'll see you soon.